host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. We have to thank him when he gets on for his election, for him winning it. But we have his lovely chief of staff, Wendy. Unless she changed her title, I don't know, but we'll find out in a few minutes. We'll find out if Wendy changed her title. But we have a lineup tonight. Wendy and Al have assembled a lineup tonight that is going to be phenomenal. We're going to talk about some real stuff in here. And listen, it's August. Please be safe out there. This is Harlem. This is New York City. This is all over the world. Thank you for everybody that's chiming in from wherever you're chiming in from. I know we got North Carolina, Atlanta. We have people all over. So I thank you all. But right now, we're going to concentrate on Harlem, too, specifically tonight. I just want to run through the sponsors tonight as I start off. Daily Arts of Survival magazine, #1 martial arts magazine in the world right now. You can buy it on Amazon. Also, Soft Illusions Art Gallery. We know that's personal to my heart. We got to shout out Melba Wilson. She's a sponsor. We got to shout out Leon Ellis, a chocolate. So, and we got to sponsor my man, Reggie Wells, Quality Speakers. And also, we got to forget income taxes. It's still not too late to handle your taxes. Sometimes you have tax questions. You can reach out to Ingram Taxes. This is Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor. We have a lineup in here tonight. I don't know where Al is. He just stepped away, but I see another guest coming in tonight. And it's always a pleasure to have this lady in the building. And with that being said, Wendy, how are you doing until Al comes back?
There he is.
Al, there he is. Al, what's going on, brother? Hey, unmute yourself. There you go.
I'm just trying to figure out where the feedback is. There feedback?
No, not now. It's coming from Wendy's, but it's all right. Wendy's going to be quiet.
Hey, cool in the game. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to none other than Real Talk Chronicles with your host, Bill Foster, a.k.a. Al Taylor, the co-host, and my good friend and colleague in government, Harlem's very own. Let's clap it up for Senator Cordell Clear. She looks like such a stateswoman. I'm sitting here at the house chilling, about to get me a bottle of water. And since I don't have any sponsorship, I don't want y'all to see whose bottle I'm drinking. They ain't paid for it. They ain't going to see it.
Exactly. Rip the label off. We only dealing with sponsorship tonight.
I saw John Thompson when Patrick had just signed with the Knicks, and we were in the Harlem State Office building, and they were taking all of these pictures. Everybody was like outside. The crowd was about to take off for Harlem Week. And the coach, he said, like, hey, I didn't know you had an endorsement. And he said, huh? He said, you got that Pepsi in your hand. And they're getting ready to take a picture, and you didn't endorse that. Put that thing down. You don't get any free publicity in this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What's that, John Thompson, right?
Yeah, John Thompson. That was his coach from Georgetown.
Georgetown coach, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
Much respect. I got a quick learn right there. Good evening and welcome, everyone. This is a very serious, near and dear topic for us. I'm gonna let Senator Cordell Clear say hello and why we're here. And then we'll fill in the blanks with everybody else, right? And Wendy's got a dictionary.
Well, first, let me just say hello to Miss Clear. How are you? My name is Bill Forster. It's a pleasure finally meeting you. I've heard so much about you. You've come and taken Harlem by storm. You know my family, my Uncle Willie Walker, so that is my personal uncle. So I've heard the name so well. I was finally glad to meet you. Let me just always extend the olive branch. You're always welcome. If Al hasn't told you anything you ever want to talk about on Real Talk, you always come back. Real Talk is Real Talk. There's no better definition than what it is. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here on Real Talk with you, Bill, and with my dear colleague and big brother, Al Taylor, and Wendy Olivo. It's just a real pleasure to be here on Real Talk. I'm State Senator Cordell Clear. I hold the 30th senatorial district senatorial seat, which was formerly held by our former Senator Brian Benjamin, and I won in a special election last year. So I've served my first 7 months, and I'm already up for re-election. So I've been out here campaigning, so a lot of people may have seen me. I always want to let people know, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but there is an election coming up on August 23rd. I know you just voted on June 28th, but there is another election due to some litigation that went on this year, just a short version of it. The lines that were thrown out earlier this year, new lines were drawn, and for that reason, we had to have our election pushed back. So the state Senate and the U.S. Congress elections in this district are going to be on August 23rd, and early voting starts August 13th. So I just wanted to get that in on the front end.
Absolutely,
She can't
absolutely.
say, but I'll tell you what, Al Taylor supporting Cordell Clear for Harlem. I'm just saying, I can say who I'm voting for. I can say that, right, Mr. Bill?
You can say whatever you want. This is your show, baby. Listen. The one thing is, that's why people always talk about run for office. Nah, because I don't care about the backlash. Bring the smoke, baby. Everybody knows I keep them up. I keep them duped up. So that's why I got you all. I have you all's back. And you know, this is the show where you can come and say what you want to say, because sometimes people can wean you out and not can filter and cut what you want to say and not say. On Real Talk Chronicles, you say what you said, and people go back and say, "Well, I heard her say it, or I heard him say it." This is Real Talk.
Super appreciate that. Also, other colleagues will be chiming in. We have from the East Side, Assembly Member Eddie Gibbs, and the Assemblywoman from Harlem, none other than Inez E. Dickens, will be joining us. This is a hot button topic in our community, and I think it will gather steam from around the world. If you've ever been to Harlem, ever seen something from Harlem, you're going to be engaged and excited and maybe even aggravated to want to participate. So I don't know what's
now. Let me just interject for a second. Anybody, if you're watching it from Facebook Live, please share it. This is especially you Harlemites. You better be on this. But this is also a political thing where you need to listen, because it might happen to a community near you, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, wherever you may be, Staten Island. Don't think, and wherever you are in any other places in the world, it might come to your community. So you might have to chime in and listen. We got to talk about that letter too that you and Al are very responsible for, Cordell. And with that being said, if you're watching on YouTube Live, if you first time watching, subscribe to it. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in on YouTube. Wendy, if you can you please say hi to them? I'll say hi to them. But Cordell, if I apologize now. If you see me look down, it's not because I'm not listening. It's just I'm responding to people. All right. So I just want to make sure that you understood that, and I appreciate that. So go ahead, Al, take over from there, please. You muted yourself. Go ahead. Al, unmute yourself.
I was going in, man.
I saw you. You got excited.
Shout out to Mr. Wilson. Shout out to Deacon Eric Parsons, Walter Alexander, WKIM TV Live. Good evening, B. Thompson. I'm looking at it all right here. I've never had a chance to do this. I'm going to really be a co-host today. But what's happening here is, and I think it's relevant to everyone. If you've ever visited Harlem, if you've ever seen some Harlem movies, if you heard stories about Harlem, and if you played some of these NBA games and they talk about Harlem playing at the Rucker, right now, because of redistricting in New York City, the city council part of it, they're starting to redraw the lines of the councilmatic districts. Harlem, or areas in Harlem as we know as Harlem, the Rucker Park is Harlem. Polo Ground Public Housing is Harlem. And when you talk about Wrangle houses, which used to be colonial, that's Harlem. And then I'm going to step to the side. That's the northern end. And Cordell, tell them about the parts on the south end of Harlem that they're trying to cut off. And then we'll go.
Yeah, sure. Schomburg Plaza, which was home to the exonerated 5.
Yes.
Lehman houses, Clinton houses, Lakeview. These are places that are known to be where Black residents live, and they are connected communities to Harlem. They are very much a part of Harlem and Harlem's culture, and have many commonalities with this beautiful village that we live in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what is happening is with the redrawing of the line, and I'll let Wendy come in as well. We don't want to miss anything, and we have time to unpack it. With the redrawing of the lines, the commission that's in place looks at the number of folks based on the census drawing that came up, the census a year ago, and they're reconfiguring the lines to say in each district, councilmatic district, there should be X amount of people. Certain communities lost people, other communities gained people. Having said that, let's remember that in communities of color, we don't always poll well, and we're never counted correctly. So we don't say hello and goodbye to people we don't know that call the phone and ask who's in our, none of your house, none of your business who in our house. We're not filling our stuff. So what they're doing, they're drawing the lines to complete, to making sure there are X amount of people in X amount of councilmatic districts. So in the 10th councilmatic district, which you would recognize as beginning here, would be Dykeman houses. Then on the 7th, if I think it's a 7th councilmatic district, you would recognize it for being up by the Battleground, if you're familiar with the Amsterdam area up there. So what's happening?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what they're doing to complete their mission and the need to have the amount of people that they need, they're looking to take pieces of Harlem and connect them to those places. So Rucker Park, Wrangell houses, and Colonial would now become part of, and other stuff along the avenue would now be listed as Washington Heights. And yes, and on the other side, it would be Washington Heights on the hill. So that's the crust. I'm just trying to give you dynamics, and it's a real overview. And I'm going to move over and let Senator Cordell clear, who's been.
Let me just interject for a second. I need to ask both of you a question. Is this the same thing that's happened to Hamilton Heights? Because I live in Hamilton Heights now, and I knew it was always the Upper West Side. You know, when you was growing up, Cordell, I mean, Al, you know this. You tell somebody, yo, I'm going down the hill. That means you was going down to Harlem. And if somebody wanted to say about up the hill, it was up 145th Street. You going up to Broadway and Riverside and stuff like that. So then all of a sudden, and I just say this full transparency, I was watching the news one day and it was like, oh, it's a fire, a 4-alarm fire. I was like, oh my God, I'm watching the news all intently and everything. And it was like, yeah, this is in Hamilton Heights. I was like, oh, I don't know where Hamilton Heights. It was like 148th and Broadway, between Broadway and Emerson. I was like, that's Broadway. That's Upper West Side. And when I used to work for the mayor's office, when we used to monitor sanitation, when I used to run surveys, my just community board 9, that was between 110 and 155th on the west side. And then I think Al on the other side is 10, the 3-3. I'm going by precincts because I'm prior law enforcement. That was like 11 and 12. So go ahead, Cordell. I'm sorry. I just wanted to put that in service. You know, like I remember how things are being changed so frequently now. And I don't know, please explain this, because a lot of people may think this is from gentrification. If it is, put clarity to it. If it's not, please explain that. Go ahead, Cordell.
Yeah, sure. So it's all related, I believe. When you start identifying, when you were describing the fire situation a few minutes ago, I thought you were talking about another fire, because I was watching the news and there was a fire on 115th Street between Manhattan Avenue and Morningside Avenue. Right. And the news described it as, oh, there's a fire, big fire took place in Morningside Heights. I'm like, what? That's not Morningside Heights. That's down the block, and that's in Harlem. A year ago, more than a year ago, it's been about 4 years now, I stood with the former senator and many community advocates, Danny Tyson, against something called SOHA. All these names mean something when you see them. SOHA, WeHa, NIHA, NOHA, SPAHA. All these things are usually real estate terms. Not to say Harlem. We're going to call it everything but that. Even Schomburg Plaza that I'm speaking about tonight has been renamed by the new owners to the Heritage. They take away these names because names mean something, and you don't know what they're talking about when they're saying this heights, that height, the other. We know it's always been Harlem. We knew Sugar Hill was a part of Harlem. We knew what it was, but there are all these new things being introduced to make us think we're in a different place, and little bites, in my view, being taken of the apple. So as Al explained, there is a need to get population, right? And there are people who are looking at Harlem to take population to create it where their district is. But Harlem is unique in this way. It is a traditionally, historically Black community. It is the only one on the island of Manhattan. It is the only Black community, and right now it is the only Black seat in the city council. Of the 10 districts that are in Manhattan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 is the only Black seat held. And for me, that's very concerning that we could be shifting this district in a way that we could possibly lose our one voice on the most local form of government that there is, which is the city council. So that is what is really, really scary to me, which means we lose our Black voice on this in this borough. And yes, gentrification is a part of it. It compounds the situation. We have gentrification taking place and Blacks leaving the island by the droves. And it would be shameful because of the history, the legacy, the uniqueness, the famousness of Harlem, that we lose this community, which gained its fame because of the Black people in this community. The Harlem Renaissance was brought to us by great people, African Americans, African Caribbeans, Africans from all over the diaspora, made the community what it is, and it is very, very precious in our history and in our culture. And I view it's hostile when I see things like this taking place. It's an attack. It's an attack on Black people. Harlem is not just Harlem for Harlem. Harlem is Harlem for the world. It is Harlem for the world. That we are the most famous community in the world, not a borough, not a city, not a state. Harlem, little Harlem is all over the world. There's no place. You go to China, you go anywhere and you say Harlem. They say, oh yeah, Apollo. You know, they know something.
Yes.
They've been here. They've watched us. They've seen it on TV. They know Harlem. Harlem is that place. So it is just different from any other space on the planet, and it's worthy of our protection and fighting for. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So go ahead, Al, please.
Oh yeah, just for our listeners and those that are tuned in that will watch this later, this broadcast is called Real Talk Chronicles. The title for tonight's subject is Hands Off Harlem. Say it with me, people. Hands off
Harlem. Off Harlem.
So, and all we're saying is, and there has been a move, and this is what's really ticking us off the most. Aside from the audacity, you know, when Harlem wasn't vibrant, when it was strictly us's, nobody wanted to be associated with it, and they cordoned off it. So this is where you're at. Get back up there by nightfall. Yellow cabs wouldn't come to this community. That's why they suffer today, because the e-cars and everything else came along and said, we'll service that neighborhood the minute people started moving in. But there was a time when nothing came. The only white folks that came to Harlem were the ones that were law enforcement and the ones that were buying heroin, because they had the best, I guess, in the city. From the Rockefellers to everything. It's a bad look, but they were coming to Harlem to get the Kennedys, and the Rockefellers were buying heroin in Harlem. Yeah. That's what Harlem was noted for. And we're saying we've come through the storm, we've weathered it, and I'd be daggone if you're going to be able to take it and put it somewhere else. So we're clear. There's been a move. Cordell, clear. There is a move afoot to make sure that this goes into Washington Heights. There's been organizations that move people to the hearings and all the other boroughs. And we're saying, if you live in Harlem, if you work in Harlem, if you visit Harlem, then register your voice to say, take your hands off Harlem. Cordell has the information. Wendy will drop it in the set. You can just send an email, and the commissioners are, I'm just laughing because Cordell was all the way up at the hearing. So someone told us, and I don't know where it came from, that they're about to make a move at the hearing. So we went Harlem bad and strong into the room where all the commissioners at. And they were like, you ever see the preachers when they finished? They were like, well, you know, we heard about the Harlem thing. So what y'all here for? That's not happening. This is what we're just going to give our report. And there's room to still register your voice and our voices. Don't listen to this, so that's a shame. Tell somebody if you visited here for a Rucker game, if you came here to get from Charlie's Fried Chicken, or you come visit your parents in the hood, you're still coming through and you have a legal right to make a comment. And we're saying send, and we have a form letter. You can just sign your information and say, hands off Harlem. You can do your part. This is a very proactive. Step back out and let my co-host co-host Bill Foster.
It's all right, baby. Tell them why you mad. That's the beautiful thing about sometimes, we got some old OGs in here, Al and I. So I understand the energy. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Foster, with my co-host Al Taylor, and we have a Congresswoman Cordell Clear in the building.
Senator Cordell Clear.
Senator.
Let us start another fight.
Oh, no. Senator Cordell Clear, I apologize. Excuse me. Sometimes the tongue moves faster than the brain. Don't blame it on the head, not the heart. You know what I'm saying? And we got Wendy in the building. Let me just read some of the comments. Like I said, if you're watching it from Facebook, share it. If you're watching it from YouTube, subscribe to it, please, because we got a lineup. Next Monday, we got Dr. Marilyn Corder. There's a lot going on. Monkeypox. Variants. You got variants coming out like somebody's dealing a deck of cards. The second Monday of the month, we have the First Lady of Def Jam, Allison Williams. She's out. She's been on tour with Nige. We're gonna talk about that. Also, every Wednesday, I get my law enforcement in. Kevin and I, Chuck, Rich. Sometimes, depending on whoever, we invite everybody to come in. And also remember, you're always welcome to participate in any panel discussion I have, as long as you come on here and you can articulate yourself, because I will boot you out, because I don't need no gibberish in here. We just want some real conversation. We want real talk. If you're going to say something, say it, real talk. Now, let me just read some comments. Teresa Grady from YouTube, she says, I just missed it. Moving people are chiming in. Teresa Grady from YouTube, she said, I was born in Harlem on 117th Street between Lenox and 7th Avenue, but now they are trying to, and I raised my 3 daughters here in Wrangell houses. I think, and that's the one thing, I think that's something, Al, I want you and Cordell to comment on. You said people that used to be in Harlem, because the people still have Harlem roots. And people, you know how we are. If you rep Harlem, you from Harlem, everybody reps where they're from. And that's a beautiful thing. Vera with the wonderful last name, Foster. I always got to give her a prop. She got the last name. We related by name. Trust me, sister. She says same thing has been happening in Brooklyn. They divided Bed-Stuy in half when they created Stuyvesant Heights. Like, that's crazy to me. Remy Clark said, I appreciate your talking on the legacy. However, we need money to take it back. B. Thompson, I've seen people jump off the 7 bus when they got too far uptown. I'm sure they have. But listen. Yeah. Sarah, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Hands off Harlem. Mary said, nice slogan, but you need more money to take back Harlem. Everybody's talking about yes. B. Thompson said, I've seen. Okay, so the thing is, let me ask you all.
I'm sorry, just 1 second, Bill. To the comments that you just read. Right now, what we're talking about is absolutely free. What we're talking about is free. We're saying register your voice. If you come here once a year, you have the ability and you're authorized to make a comment, live, work, or visit Harlem. You can comment to the commissioners, take your hands off. Sure, there are other things that we need to do, become stakeholders, how we become create generational wealth, an economic conversation without question. You're right. So, oh God, when people were hustling in Harlem and buying Cadillacs and wardrobes, they should have been buying the buildings. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
But I'm not saying it's not a chance to come back, but that's a different conversation for another night. But right now, we just need people to log on, register, and show up and say, if there are 80 people or 500 people listening, just say, take your hands off Harlem, fill it in, and the rest will start to happen. But silence is a killer.
I want to ask both of you a question, and like I said, it's Real Talk, sponsored by Melba and Melba Wilson's, Melba's Restaurant, and Leon Ellis Chocolate, and Harlem Underground. How did this all come about? Where we've dropped the ball. I'm going to use that cliche. We've dropped the ball because now it's to a point that now we have to save hand, keep your hands off Harlem. Where were we? What happened? Was the information not given to us? Did we fall on our backs, or Cordell and Al, that we didn't see this coming? Because as names start changing, this, like you said, Cordell, earlier, the so high, the no high, and this high, and that high. Like, what happened? Now it's almost to a point where we got to pull out the, excuse my French, the big guns, and I don't need the terminology. I don't want people to get offended with that, with all shootings and things like that. But we had to call you two to save us. And now also, I'm going to bring in Eddie Gibbs. He's going to be chiming in too. I just wanted to add him to the screen. Hello, brother Eddie Gibbs. How are you? Can you hear us? well, go ahead. I'll let you answer you two answer the question, and I'm sure he'll hear us. So if he hears us, he'll speak up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in answer to your question about how this happens, there's a lot of things happening. We're talking about many different tracks. Like Al said, we need a few shows to talk about Harlem, but right here
Absolutely.
with the redistricting, part of it is, you know, we're always looked at as the place to take from,
Yes.
the place to dump on. Okay. There's things happening in Harlem now, and all of a sudden people's eyes are open and say, oh my God, look at all these things in Harlem. And I'm like, okay, you just saw that? We have been screaming for years, stop dumping on us, stop doing this. There was never a time when we sat down. My parents were part of my block association, tenant association. We yelled out. A lot of this stuff was done by design. And then now at the end, to add insult to injury, you pick us apart and you're going to take population. You're going to take real estate. You're going to take parts of our community away. And we're saying no, as we're simultaneously fighting for those economic opportunities, simultaneously fighting for housing that's truly affordable. We're trying to preserve and protect public housing, which houses a lot of our population. We're doing all those things at the same time, but we're also saying this census that happens every 10 years, like Al said, first of all, there's a question to the accuracy of this census. We were in a pandemic. I was out here trying to get people to sign on to fill out their census. It was not something that was done with greatest accuracy. And on top of that, the fact remains, this is the last Black community in Manhattan. We
Excuse me.
have a right to be protected. Our community has a right to stay connected, be protected, and have a voice for Black people in this community. And we're asking folks to join us, submitting their testimony, emailing the districting commission, letting them know we didn't. I wouldn't say that we fell off. I would say that other people organized to do this. We didn't know that. People who don't even live here organized and went to these hearings knowing what they were getting ready to do.
Right.
And we didn't know about it. But once we found out, we got motivated, we got mobilized, we mobilized others, and we're continuing to mobilize people. They did it very quietly. They went to these hearings. There was no hearing ever held in Harlem. The hearings were held, the hearing for Manhattan was down at Pace University. We didn't have the opportunity to come out, publicize, promote the hearing, and speak up in the city council hearing, redistricting hearings. So we are trying to correct that now. It's not over and it won't be over. And we can and we will win if we all get out and make sure we get our voices heard. So like Al said, please make sure that we've been taking forms around that we've had people fill out. You don't even have to write the letter. We've written it for you. We have forms that you can just fill out, put your name on it, and we're uploading it for the next hearings. There's going to be another round of hearings, and Wendy can talk about it. They start again on August 15th. We're going to have one. We are going to have one in Harlem because we did fight for that in this second round. It's going to be on the 22nd. The times haven't been announced yet. So we're going to make sure that we let everyone know about that. And we want the room to be packed. We want that room to be packed. And we want to have stacks and stacks and stacks of comments written on your own, or if you fill out the ones that we filled out, that we written for you. Whatever you decide, you got to speak up. We have to stand up together.
I appreciate that. That was awesome because I think you broke it down eloquently on what's the problem and stuff like that. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Assembly Al Taylor. We have the lovely Cordell Clear here. We have Mr. Eddie Gibbs, and of course, we got Wendy. I just want to read some comments to you all real quick. My man Derek, he said, my Harlem Night brother, he said, I kick myself daily. The brownstones were crack houses or hangouts for the homeless. Many of us did not see the value in them, even when they were giving them away. And I am one of them. I kick myself too. When they were doing the stuff about it, and they were doing it for law enforcement and correction officers and civil servants. And I just like, nah, I don't, didn't see the vision. So busy trying to worry about the party. You know what I'm trying to say? Chasing the skirt. But now look at it now. And I applaud all those that stayed and put their money in. But some of them have been people that, like you said, Cordell, have tried to change the narrative of what Harlem is, because Harlem is rich in history, the battlegrounds, the polo grounds, King Towers, you know what I'm saying? The Schomburg. I mean, we have historical people living in Harlem. The movies have been made here, you know, as they call it. I never forget, somebody was talking. They may not know the normal terminology of the proper development on 116th and Lenox. I mean, 7th Avenue, but they was like the Carter.
The Carter. That was the Carter. Grand Court.
But you know it from the movie, you know, New Jack City, you call it the Carter. So I say all that to say, Tracy says, yes, taking real estate before you wouldn't see the Cochran Group advertisement. Let me see what somebody else is saying. Teresa Grady says, like they were all doing here in Wrangle houses with the pack rapidization. Miss Bennett, she says, thank you for the emails from the Schomburg. Of course, I work in Harlem many years. I think a lot of times people, Lenox Lounge, people are bringing up the historical aspect of this. Mary Clark said, interesting, since Eric Adams is the mayor. You know, a lot of people got feelings on a lot of this thing. I want to bring in Mr. Eddie Gibbs real quick. Eddie, can you hear us? You muted. Yeah, there you go. How you doing, my brother Al? I'll let you introduce Mr. Gibbs. Go ahead. Al, you're muted. Go ahead.
My man, my little brother, Eddie Gibbs, assembly member, and he's got a story, and he'll come back. Oh, total transparency. Although you're here for the first time, assembly member Gibbs, don't be a stranger. You're always welcome to come back. This is my co-host, Bill Foster. He's running and rocking. Get this thing done. But come on. And you've got a story about your history and how you're able to even stand here in this space. But we'll talk about that later. Go ahead. Talk to us about tonight and why you're on edge about what's happening.
Certainly. Well, I'm in the, well, they got me on hold. I'm in the process of wrapping up a presser with Capital Press Room right now. We're doing a release on a club I just started, the Second Chance Democratic Club. And I was in the middle of the interview, so I was waiting for them to wrap it up. They got me on hold. Yeah, so you know, I'm devastated, and I stand in line with Senator Cordell Clear, Assembly Member Al Teller, and many others. You know, in this redistricting, you know, Harlem has always been a target, and they're just consistently bombarding us with this quiet takeover, I call it. And, you know, I am eager and anxious, along with my colleagues, to stand in line and say, hey, enough is enough. I want to sign on. Can I come right back to you real quick? They call me right back in.
Heavy business. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, thank you.
I just want to shout out everybody that's watching. YouTube is on fire. Like I said, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to it. You get more content all the time. Al and Wendy are here the first Monday of every month. And they bring a great panel sometimes, or a guest. And then sometimes they don't. They just come back and they handle their business. So sometimes people are coming at them because there's so much things going on in the world today, and people want answers. And from him sitting from different pulpits, and literally and figuratively, people want answers. And he's the only person that gives it. And sometimes I'm blessed to be able to bring individuals like him, and him bringing Cordell to the scene, that they can answer these questions for you. So thank you all for chiming in. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out to my Uncle Willie. He watching too. So shout out to Uncle Willie Walker in the building, chiming in. Always my mentor and a lot of people's. So please go ahead, Eddie. You want to finish what you were saying? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, please, sir, please, ma'am, you know, sign on to the letter. I'm going to sign on, you know, and wait for the next steps. I'm going to follow my colleagues' lead, and we're going to fight this. Senator Cordell Clear said it all. You know, I'm just devastated by, you know, the attempt, you know. So if there was ever a time for us to come together, now's that time.
Okay. Al?
Can I add on to that?
Oh, please. Go ahead, Cordell. Yeah, please.
No, I just really appreciate, you know, those words that Assemblyman Gibbs just spoke. If there's ever a time for us to stand together, part of our problem is unity. We have to be united. And I think sometimes we're afraid to be, we really don't know how powerful we are if we stand together. And this was a great example of that when we all rose up against this. I tell you, I called every single elected officials, past, present, deceased, alive.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
and
exactly.
they, yes, court, please go. Yes, we all came together. We all felt that same burn, and we all made sure that we put our names on those first letters that went out. And we're going to continue doing that. And we will do. We will go beyond that and do even more. We're going to talk about some next steps in the coming weeks. And then I'd like to comment on something you touched on, Brother Foster. You
Sure.
know, you talked about wanting to looking back at what was available, and some people may not have seen the value, but some people did see the value. But
Yes,
you know they had something called redlining.
yes,
You know, they had something called predatory lending. They
yes,
had they had something where you couldn't get a loan. The banks were we didn't even have banks in Harlem. I mean,
no,
now you're tripping over them on every corner. But we only had one bank. We had two banks, and you couldn't get a loan when you tried to get those properties. They made it very difficult for many of us to be able to get those properties at that time. So there were some of us who were able to think about it at the time, but even those people were stopped. A few lucky people did get through.
yes,
And we're fighting to make sure that they can hold on to that every day. But this was definitely a period, I call it benign neglect, because Al talked about it too, when nobody wanted to be here. People would ride the subway from downtown Manhattan. I'd be on that train coming from work, and I'd see people accidentally not get off at 96th Street and ride to 110th Street and Lenox Avenue. And I mean, fear was written all over their faces. They were like, oh my God. And I just say, all you gotta do is just cross the platform and get back on the train, go back downtown. They were stricken with fear to be up here. And as soon as things started looking better, now it's not good enough for us. No, I don't accept that. It is good enough for us.
yeah.
We're staying right here. We belong here like anybody else. We belong here, especially those who struggled and suffered during the bad times.
Excuse
And
me,
you know
Eddie,
what's so
can
funny?
you mute?
Go, Al. Go, please.
Eddie, can you mute?
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
you know, with that being said, Al, let me tell you something. We're going to go. I want you to introduce people, but I just want to read some comments from people that are coming in. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. We got a lovely panel. I'm going to let Al do the round robin on them. I just want to read some comments. Nice comment from my brother, Derek Stoudemire. He said, yes, sir. You've always been a big brother that kicked it from a different platform. I'm in Montego Bay. We touching Montego Bay. He's getting ready to watch his 34-year-old walk down the aisle, but I'm in my hotel room with my wife watching you good people fight the good fight. Truly inspirational. Know that the numbers of watchers can be small, but each of one takes it to the message to 50 to sound can be profound. I appreciate that, man. Listen, my man is in Montego Bay, my brother from 150. And you know what's so funny? I always say, everybody knows I probably was one of the top promoters in the city along with Al in our time. And I still do a brunch party every third Saturday, shameless plug, every third Saturday of the month, but at Row House. But with that being said, positivity, people, they run from that. They run from that. It's like it on a cone. You know what I'm saying? It's a shame that we at our age still positivity is not what someone to listen to. But they'll tell me what happened on Housewives of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect. If you watch it, it's good. But I'm just saying you need to watch something too to educate yourself. Ms. Bennett said, I hope that you have events like this at the Schomburg Library when people can learn much. Mary Clark said, sadly, some politicians sold out instead of making the Harlem Nights the priority. Wow. You know, people have feelings all along. Go ahead, Al. So introduce our people again and run around.
No question. We have a state senator from Harlem, Senator Cordell Clear. There is an election on August 23rd. And just so we're clear, I always like to keep it 100. We're not here because there's an election and we need to pop somebody's collar to vote. We're here to inform. And whether you vote for us or not, it's not relevant. We will still and continue to remain to be voices in the community. And if you're listening to this, thank God for your comments. Now, I'm going to thank you in advance because the information that you need is being dropped in. I see people are saying, give me some forms. Right now, Wendy already has dropped into this chat the information. There's an email address there. You can hit it and send your comments. If you want a form that we've already done, and you want us to duplicate it, or you can duplicate it and get a bunch of signatures, let's do this. And soon give us all your contact information, because we're going to announce when it's taking place at Schaumburg. And that moment, I think that we should have so many people there that we need a police permit. Nah, just forget about it. We're just going to bring lawn chairs to the table. You can't get in, but the media is going to be watching. Now, you would say, it's a shame what they did. Somebody didn't do that, but doggone it, what are you going to do? The old stuff is dead and stinking. What are you going to do? I know I'm sounding like I'm coming at people, but I have to come at somebody to say, this is not just our fight. If you can't make it, oh, better yet, you can make it. Tell your friends, come on down, get the lawn chairs, because they take up our neighborhoods, film us saying hands off Harlem. Sit on out there, we'll bring some cold water, because everybody's not going to get inside. That's all right. But they need to know, those commissioners, when they're going in, it's going to be like a press conference for Michael Jackson. It's going to be so packed that they got to go through a line to get in, and they come out. And they're going to think about, these people are dead serious. So also I have my good friend and recent arrival to the assembly. I think he came after Cordell. So he's a young buck with an old heart, with a story that says you can rise from the ashes as a phoenix and still do what needs to be done. Incarceration is not an excuse not to excel. My brother and good friend from the East Side, district leader and New York State Assembly member, Eddie Gibbs. He's here. Now, also, we have my chief of staff, she was my former campaign manager, strategist, and now she's back in the role as my chief of staff, Wendy Olivo. So she's dropping information in there. There are jewels that are there that we can use. And we can talk, and we may not always agree. In fact, we won't always agree. But we will agree not to become disagreeable, but we'll agree that we will move the Black narrative forward. It's important. It's important. When we talk about marijuana, when we talk about cannabis, all of that good stuff, there was just a workshop over there that Sister Cordell put on. And the idea is staying informed. And we walked through what Bill Foster mentioned earlier, the battleground. The battleground was so crowded 2 weeks ago, you could not move. And keep in mind, it rained for a solid hour and a half, and everybody scattered. And I think it was like ants on a meat skin. More people showed up. And like to walk one block at the battleground, and people know you could not move. It was shoulder to shoulder. And you know what? They didn't have any music, and it was flowing, and everybody stayed because of music. It was people genuinely wanting to talk to each other, good to see each other. And if you're that person and you're listening to this or you'll watch this, you have a right to fill out this document or sign on the, hit the email and say, hands off Harlem. Why? Because you live, work, or visit this community. Those are the only criteria that you need to do. So back to my co-host, Bill Foster, and you listen to Real Talk Chronicles right here. There's no script. We don't script.
Don't script.
Take it on the chin.
Yeah, listen, that's what we do at Real Talk. If you watch it from YouTube, please subscribe to it. We give out more positive content like this all the time. The first Monday of the month is Assemblyman Al Taylor. The second Monday of the month, we have Dr. Marilyn Corder. She comes in from the DMV area, and she's a world-renowned doctor. You can Google her yourself. And I'm blessed to have her as my cousin. So sometimes you got to lose a little connections to work things out. You know what I'm saying? But she's been on Oprah. She's been on Steve Harvey. She sits on boards. She's run hospitals. And she gives you all the skinny from a woman of color to a professional doctor, and she's a pediatrician. So always have your questions for her. And the third Monday of the month, you have the First Lady of Def Jam. If you remember the song, Just Call My Name, Allison Williams. And she's a Harlemite. She's from Colonial Houses. So how beautiful is that? So we're talking about Harlem. We talk industry, but if you know Allison, she can chop it up. Right now, she's on tour, I think, with Najee. They have a nice song out. And every Wednesday of the month, I call in my law enforcement friends, and we try to talk about issues pertaining to law enforcement. How can we change? How can we make things better? Al, they want to come at you hard about the reform and stuff like that. I tell them, I say, you got to get Al to come on the show on his own time. But Al, I know you ain't scared of that smoke, but they looking at you. So we want to, people,
you know what? Because people pour Kool-Aid, and remember Jim Jones. You have to be careful of the Kool-Aid that you drink and watch who's pouring it. So let's watch it. Always keep in mind, bail reform and Oh, we got to do this. Just 2 minutes, not even. I know Wendy's popping a jump. Remember now, folks, you're educated. This is one of the most educated communities that's out there. And thank you. Watch what just happened 2 weeks ago on the campaign trail of Zeldin, who's running for governor. A guy attacks him.
Mm-hmm.
He attacks this guy. Right?
Yep.
And before that's over, he stands up and he says, I guarantee you this man will be out of jail tomorrow. And you know what happened? Daggone it, he got out of jail. And everybody looked around and said, daggone it, bail reform. What are they doing? Bail reform. It's like 3-card Molly in the shell game. You got to watch the switcheroo because the main person, the prosecutor that was responsible for determining whether he would or would not get out without bail was right there on the stage because she is connected to his campaign. Follow the smoke, y'all. And so then what she says, I recuse myself. I had nothing to do with it. Keep in mind, that district attorney is one of the toughest in the state of New York. And she didn't see fit to give this man, and that was a bailable offense. It was a bailable offense, folks. So when you get mad at us, I want you to see who's really pulling strings and playing the yah-yah. So I'm just putting it out there that people are playing games, and it's about the media and what you can get people to believe and drink.
And can I just add to that,
please.
They wanted to trash Alvin Bragg, first Black DA of Manhattan, about this. And, unbeknown that he had nothing to do with this. He had nothing to do with what happened. We have to be careful. Yes, we should be critical of anyone and always voice your opinion on how you feel when I'm doing wrong, Al's, whoever. If you don't like the way things are going, talk to us, let us know. But, there's just, to me, all this energy against our first Black people or our Black people in power right now who are doing good things, who are trying to level the playing field, who are trying to bring justice and equality. They are quickly jumping on those people. So we have to be careful that we're not jumping with them. Okay.
Yes.
We have to really be careful. There are things that I don't like that some of our brothers and sisters are doing, but I speak to them about it, and I speak about it in a respectful way, and I educate them if I think they don't know, and we come to some kind of an agreement or a compromise or understanding, or it'll be a disagreement if it has to be. But let's be careful of the bandwagons that we jump on trashing other leaders.
Listen, that's Real Talk. Eddie, you want to chime in on that? Please do.
Hey, look, man, I stand in line, man. Our senator says it all. I don't agree with it, but it was certainly timing, Had it been one of us, we'd have been in Bell, behind the cell, screaming foul.
Yeah.
It's all in politics. That's why I'm gonna consider myself a professional politician. I'm a peopletician.
Yeah,
I don't go through all that.
That's a beautiful point. What's so funny? I think, like I said, I come from different avenues. I'm Black first. I told my white partners in crime, listen, they be like, you're blue. No, I'm Black first, and then I'm blue. You know what I'm saying? Blue is my fraternity, just like 141st is my fraternity. I got 141st. Harlem is my fraternity. But you know what? Don't tell me I got to stay there. I can go anywhere I want to in life. I say all that to say when we talking about these laws and reforms, we just had on the show. And like I said, Cordell, Eddie, Al, will tell you, you're always welcome to come back. Anytime we talk about certain things. And Alvin Bragg, that's my church brother. That's my man. But, he's taking a lot of heat because there was just an incident with a young man. I'm going to call him a young man. He fought a police officer in the transit system. The transit officer tried to give him some love. Yo, go ahead. Get out of here. No. You want to give up some verbs and adjectives. Y'all get into a scuffle. Me, that wouldn't have happened. I'm not saying a young man wouldn't have swung on me, but it would have been a different scenario. We'd have been talking about officer force, detective force to bash them up, because I'm not having all that, because I'm from an old school police officer. Trust me, and I'm going to say this. Today's generation, they feel entitled to certain things. They're disrespectful. A lot of law enforcement, along with a lot of other people, everybody, and I'm going to say this, feel that law enforcement, lawmakers have made it very soft, and people feel that they have privileges and they can do what they want to do. There's no medium. There's no happy ground. I'm not saying you all, if you want to take that podium and do that, but I'm just saying it seems like either it's all or nothing. I know bail reform is not good for the person that hits the pole for whatever reason, and he has to stay in jail for 5 months until his trial comes up. Absolutely now. But Al and I've had this discussion that it seems like people are saying that the judges have accountability, and then judges are saying, well, yo, it's bail reform. I think they're throwing a lot of you all under the bus, for reasons unbeknown to us. And I think John and Jane Q. Public are looking at you all because we're the people that we voted in the office. I'll let you respond to that, Cordell.
No, you're absolutely right. We are being thrown under the bus because people don't want to do their jobs. Absolutely. Okay. We have bail reform. Bail reform was never meant to be a crime deterrent. Bail reform was never meant to be a form of punishment. Sorry, bail was never a form of punishment. Bail is to make sure you come back to court. Yeah. That's all it was designed for. And the people who couldn't get that are Black people and other people of color. Yeah. White people have always been able to pay bail. So everybody else can be out on bail while they're waiting to be proven innocent or guilty, because we don't know yet, while Black people go to jail. And of course, this became really highlighted in the case of Khalif Browder, who wound up going through hell for a backpack that we don't know if he stole or not, and wound up taking his life. This has many layers to it. We have a correction system that corrects nothing. People come out broken and damaged. People go in there that shouldn't go in there, that need to be in treatment, that need to be somewhere else, getting therapy, getting help. We're just having a one-size-fits-all approach to society, and that's not going to work. We don't want to deal with mental illness. You can't arrest your way out of this. We got to bring services to people that need them, and we have to start early. Some of this stuff is happening early. Every time you deplete and you take away from, there's a deficit somewhere, we're going to pay for it somewhere else. If we're not educating every child, if we're not giving everybody a quality education, what do you think is going to happen? If we're not making sure everybody can afford to live somewhere, we have children being taken out of homes during that dark period in our community. 1 in every child in foster care was from Harlem. 1 in every 10 children. That was horrible. And those things, we didn't take care of the children coming out of foster care, even during foster care. This is a multi-layered problem. And we don't have the same energy that people want to put into bail reform. They need to put that into creating equity, creating housing, creating jobs, giving money, jobs, businesses to Black people. That's what has to happen. And nobody wants to face that. So it's very easy to stand back and say, oh, there's bail reform. I went to a tenant meeting one night. I couldn't believe my ears. They didn't know that I was in the room, but officers are telling the tenants, oh, no, we don't go up in the buildings anymore and stop people from selling drugs, because the legislators, you got to talk to them. It's bail reform.
They will say that. I'm telling you, they listen, talk about darts under the bus. Whatever adjective, wherever you want to put you all, that's where they're putting you all. And like I said, Al and I've had multiple discussions on this, and I've had people say, "Oh, well, this is not true." Stefania said Alvin was wrong though in regards to how he handled the team that attacked the cop in the train station. I'm saying, like, I think a lot of times people, and I don't want to speak for anybody, I feel like people are being coddled, and we understand stop, question, and frisk. Stop, question, and frisk. I'm a former detective in a very active law enforcement. I started my career in the 2.8. I worked in the 2.6. I live in the 3.0 now. I worked in Bronx narcotics. I'm an expert witness for the Bronx DA's office. So I'm involved in over 700 arrests. So nobody can tell me anything about crime that I didn't see. You understand what I'm saying? And being a Harlem cat. I say all that to say that stop, question, and frisk was a vital tool, but it was used inappropriately. They were stopping the Cordells, they were stopping the Wendy's, they were stopping the Eddies and stopping the Al's. And instead of stopping the cats on the corner that was there for 12 hours. Right. And then what happened was that became a problem. But what happens is we all rah behind it. Even myself, stop, question, and frisk is a terrible tool because it was used inappropriately.
Right.
And then they got rid of it instead of trying to tweak it. See, and that's what's happening here. I think now that crime, people are shooting all over it, and it's not any fault of your own. We can't just blame the crime that's happening in our communities all over the world. Like, let me tell you something. I'll hit you with some real stuff. I just got statistics today because I keep my ear to the street and dealing with people. And I just got this in. It says, just in case anyone says crime is down, 4-4 has 101 felony assaults, 76 robberies, 36 burglaries, 2 homicides, 6 rapes, 29 GLAs in the last 28 days. So you know what I'm saying? Crime is all over the place. And people are going to blame the politicians, the legislators, the lawmakers. I'm trying to give you all the platform to come and defend yourselves, because people need to hear that it's not your fault. You know what I'm trying to say? Go ahead, Al. Go ahead, Al.
I don't personally believe that I must defend myself ever.
Well, I think you know what I'm trying to say when I say defend.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, but there are people that are in the chats that think that we should be in, and we are elected to be accountable. But make no mistake about it, we are all one people group. And as Cordell Clear said, bail reform, what we did was, it says you will show up for court. We didn't say every crime would go away, there would be no more crime. We said, if you're there and you're picked up under these conditions, then you're able to come home. The police officers, the moment, the police union, the moment we passed this legislation in Albany, began to push the narrative. I remember from the moment we walked out of that place in May, before COVID and everything ever hit, they started pushing the narrative because there was an election coming the following year. And they started to say, look what they're doing. But I'd be damned if I'm going to roll over because somebody feels, never, ever vote for Al Taylor if you think that I'm the one that screwed you all over. I'm the voice that other people don't want to give. I'm the one that will say what is real, whether you want it or not. It's real talk. There's some problems, but damn it, we didn't create them. Cut it out. Now, I'm not sure, and I have to look at it, but we want to make sure that everything that goes through does not necessarily go through DA Braggs. There's a distinction between family court, regardless of the crime. It depends on the age of the individual arrested, which goes over to family court. The DA never touches it. It's not his. It's family court. So if you had a 15-year-old that showed his butt, act ridiculous, and he's home the next day, that's not DA Braggs. That's family court, because we did to raise the age. We have to be educated and understand what is happening when it happens, so that if we're going to be accusatory, let's make sure we have all the facts. But the media will tell you, look what they did, and we're not going to sort through anything. Someone said something earlier, and it's when you take away the identity of something and someone, they are lost. From the time they put us on these shores, they've stripped us over and over again of our identity. Even right now, a suit and tie is offensive to somebody that thinks I'm a suit. The fact that I hold a job as an elected official, there's something wrong with that. And all of those preachers, and we can point fingers at people all day long, every day, just based on who they are, what they look like. You're too light to be black. You're too dark to be this. And all that ism and schism stuff, we need to cut that out and say, how are we going to save the black and brown kids in our community? Because Cordell is a senator, not because she's a politician, because she's bust her hump for the last 30 years, and she should have been in office 10 years ago. And the people that, if you want to find blackness, and right now I am talking blackness, I'm not excluding anybody else, but we become a melting pot and are available for everybody else for their platforms. But when we start talking about black, well, are y'all excluding? I'm not excluding anybody. I'm having a blackness conversation and a consciousness for us in this place, because we're the ones that are being misplaced and pushed out. We are too black to go in a new white neighborhood. Well, who you are and what you are, redlining, and all of that good stuff. I'm on a platform. Let me come off it, but I want to encourage us to not get to the point where we can't work together. We didn't create this hell. And here's another thing. Your president, ex-president, y'all ex-president, took that narrative where that governor candidate, the candidate for the governor's role, and he got on national TV and he said, you see what they're doing over there? And somebody else with their slowful self didn't even look to see if what he's saying is true. And he said, look what they did. Damn it, if they didn't set the whole thing up. You know what? Attack me. She gonna let you. He didn't probably anticipate the federal government making a charge on him because he attacked a federal person. But that's bogus, people. It's bogus. And we got to go through Real Talk and everything else and just don't take one report. All we know is what New York, America News gives us. Look at all the other MPI. Read and listen to everything, because what it is not what it appears to be. I'm just annoyed, not at anyone, but how we're always found what we have to defend ourselves over doing the right thing. And nobody could care more about our Black kids and crime, because the crimes that we're talking about, we experience right here in our own damn.
Right.
We're not telling somebody this is bad and we're immune from it and it's not in our neighborhood. We're going to the hospitals. We're going to the vigils. We're out there talking to the people trying to break it up. So we know daggone well what's happening, and it's not on our back. If there's something we can change, let's do it. Because if we don't figure it out as a group, as a body, as a bunch of people, what's going to happen in 10 years? Our kids, our grandkids are going to be in the same place, because they can get us to disagree with each other because we look like the person that's creating the problem. These people, and some of them have been unionized, and they've been pouring Kool-Aid from the very first time, and you can't even see where the water's coming from. You're just drinking it because it's free water. And I'm saying, hell to the no. Hell to the no. The Republicans, they fought like, and I'm not knocking anybody, but in that chamber, when we're on the floor debating for 4 hours on some nonsense, and then they turn around and they take it all up and make it sound bites and run a platform and say, see what these, they're turning everybody loose. And then the cops are saying, I'm going to lay back. I'm going to chill. Oh, hell no. If I talk, I'm going to chill. Y'all go, well, how can you chill when we pay you to be a legislator? Ain't nobody coming at them. I know they slow down. I can't. I know they slow down. I work with them. I'm calling it what it is. There's not one precinct in my district that they can't say, Reverend Al Taylor, come over and help us do that. Whether it's in the midnight or 2 or 3 in the morning and we're trying to break and keep the peace, I'm out there. So I'm not, and my team, I call my team my colleague. We work together. This man spent time in prison and he's an elected official. We understand what we're up against. We need people to have our backs when we're out here fighting.
Right. Al, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, you just couldn't have said it better. And you touched on something that is really great about being here tonight, because this is the form of Black media. We don't have Black media. We don't have Black outlets. We're not enough. I'm not putting down what we have.
No, you're saying it right, Cordell. Say it again. Say it again. We don't have enough of me. We don't have enough of me.
No, we don't. And our story is always being told by other people. And they're not telling the truth. They always tell it in a way that makes us look bad. It's the same tools. They just using them in different ways. And we have to really be smart and hip to that and support real Black media. You can't expect someone else to tell the truth about you. They're telling their truth, and they're telling what they want you to hear and saying trigger words and things they want to make you react to. But they're not telling what's really happening. I must have went to 1,000 events this Saturday, all peaceful, all wonderful, great things happening in Harlem, from basketball tournaments, Drew Hamilton, Old Timers Day, you name it. We had all these different things going on, 152nd Street, St. Luke's Church, beautiful, beautiful day in Harlem, everyone caring, but they will highlight these things, and I think even allow some of these things to happen and go on just to say, see, this is why we can't have bail reform. See, this is why we have to do stop and frisk. Nobody's against safety, order, and protection. I want that, okay? But what you can't do is profile us. What you can't do is brutalize us. What you gotta stop doing is killing us. We're never going to give you the pass to do that. That's not going to happen. Right now, just this very week, my heart is broken. When I talk about, trying to incarcerate our way out of these things, a young man that I happen to have known went to.
Yes. Oh my God. I know his family. He came from Virginia. You're talking about from Virginia. He came to visit. Came back to
back. He's from. It's ridiculous. How does that? There's so many things wrong with that story. Elijah Muhammad and what happened to him on Rikers Island. There's so much wrong with that, and how he wound up dead. I visited Rikers, and I'm not a doctor by far, but I can tell you, almost everyone I ran into on that visit, I know does not belong in a jail. They belong in care. There's nothing jail can do for them but make them worse.
Yeah.
And it's brutal. It's criminal. It's cruel what they do to us. Suffering with a mental illness and putting someone in that type of environment, it's not right. It's brutality. It's worse than, it's worse than criminal. It's worse than criminal because these are sick people who already have issues and they're being put in horrible, horrible conditions that can only make those issues worse. So we have to really get on our game about how our people are being treated. I look in the streets, I look at everything. I watch 125th Street, Lenox Avenue, Lexington Avenue, Penn Station, and all I see are Black men. Yeah. Black men, for the most part, Black men, broken, definitely not in their right mind. In need of help. And I say to myself, how did we all get here? How did only us get here? We're a small part of the population. Of course, I know it's not only us, but it is such a big, what you see is such a majority of us. How did this happen? And it was a series, it was a combination, it was layers and layers of things. And if we don't start addressing those things, it's not going to get any better. And that is why I always talk Black. I have to, because that's who it's happening to. Like Al said, that's who it's happening to more often than not. Everywhere across this country, we're being gunned down. We're getting beaten down. We die of everything. We catch every disease. We have the highest rate of every horrible thing you could think of.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
Preach. Al, I think she's running for that reverend title.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm snapping fingers.
When we look at our lives, we are the sum total of our experiences. So from the time I'm 11 years old, I hear about Clifford Glover being shot by police, Michael Stewart at the hands of police. So it's hard. And I don't have, I couldn't stand a cop riding, walking, or talking when I was 17 and 16 because my narrative was they were very brutal to me. And I had a mouth that says, I'm not taking it. And I ended up joining the military as a military police. So I've gone full cycle and I understand. And it never should be us against them or them against us. We need to put back in place humanity. Their humanity is missing from the conversation and from the actions. And if any one of us, as one of my real close cousins, is going through mental illness, she's been in at least 5 different times in the last 4 months. She's attacked someone. She's threatened to kill her kids. These are all adults. They'll keep her and she'll do her medicine and then she goes home. And then they took her out by Amityville, and they kept her for close to 3 weeks and then they let her go. Because there's nothing that says law that says you must stay here. The other part is the reimbursement amount that hospitals are getting for their patients. So I'm making up the number. I get $2 for a mentally troubled person to be in that bed. And I can get $500 if I put another patient in that bed. What am I going to do as a hospital? I'm cutting costs and saving. That's what we're dealing with, people. We didn't let everybody out. We've legislated where you can't do certain things because it's inhumane. But at the backside of the story, we've got a lot of work. We didn't create it. We're the voice. And my thing is, and my colleagues, we want to do the best we can for the communities we represent. We are a new guard from an old way. And so I think that when people were counting and you can stay, and then one of you can come in, and then 3 of us stay instead of 3 of us leave, and 5 of them come in. Whatever it took, we needed to do better. I wasn't in this seat. And by God's grace, we will get better. We will do more. But I want to thank you all tonight for the ones that are listening. And if I could, I don't know if Wendy is still listening, but she had something she wanted to share.
I'm gonna let Wendy come back. Hold on for a second, Wendy. Give me a second, and because I want Eddie to come in. Like I said, we're gonna fade to beautiful brown and black in a minute. I'm gonna give, but I'm sure by that time it'll be enough time for us to get out of here. I just want to thank everybody for chiming in with us. Cordell, I love what you said. Al, I co-sign what you said. I just want to read some comments. Eddie, I want to bring you in because I want to give you some time. And like I said, I think I have a question that I might want to ask. I might have forgot it because y'all been chopping it up so good. Listen, I forgot what we were talking about. You know, what I wanted to ask, I want to say. But Tramel said something. He says, why nobody is vocally defending Al Bragg in public? Then he goes on to say, hold on. He says, D.A. Bragg is getting attacked simply because he's black and prosecuting crime in a white rich borough. So I just wanted to give him that segue because Tramel is my guy, and Tramel is a big transit union guy, and he brings that smoke. He's that new generation fire, and he's real talk. So
Eddie,
I'll let somebody go if anybody wants to answer that because I have some more comments and questions.
Just so you know, to that question, I've stood with Alvin. Alvin, you and I were in one of your first before he got elected. I went after him 2 weeks ago. I did an interview because this governor candidate said the first thing he does when he goes to office is get rid of Cy Van. And I said, not by Cy, I'm sorry, get out of the Isn't it interesting that all the things that we got one DA in the 62 counties in the state of New York, one that happens, two that are black, the first black in Manhattan. They didn't go after Cy Vance when he wouldn't prosecute. And it took the Me Too movement to get the guy to go to jail. So I didn't say it was color, but is it possible that this man has some glasses he needs to clear? And the other one was, I did an article. It was in the op-ed. It was an op-ed in the Daily News where I defended him and I talked about bail reform. So I will stand with my brother every time. He's a Bible student. He's a Bible teacher.
We go to church together. Shout out to Abyssinia. That's my guy. Yeah.
And he's straight down the line. So Eddie, come on and take this away.
And hold on, Eddie. Because Al, it's so funny. Just like if people don't like what you say, now Cordell, if they don't like what you say, you know what's going to happen. Yo, why did the girl say that? Why did you say that? Hold on, Cordell, hold on. But you know what's so funny? I swing. I know how to bob and weave with the best of them. I ain't just pretty just because I was born that way. I know how to move from the punches.
Take that face.
My answer is short. It's very short.
Go ahead, Cordell.
Why nobody saying it publicly? Why is nobody printing it publicly? That's the question. Why is nobody doing that? There's no black media. People are telling our stories. They're telling the narrative. We've stood up with Alvin. I stand up next to him any day on many of the things that he has done. Especially his exoneration program. Some people don't. I don't know why the young man, Stephen Lopez. He was one of the young people that was with the exonerated.
Yes,
he just got exonerated through Alvin Bragg's program a couple weeks ago. It was through the program that he initiated. So I stand with him. His office wrote several bills that I've introduced and some that have already passed relating to human trafficking. They don't tell that. Run tell that. That's what they don't tell. So black media is key in all of this.
And Cordell, I'm gonna put you on the carpet for this because you've said it multiple times, and I think Al is already doing it. I'm asking you, folding arms, Eddie. I'm asking you too. If you have something that you want to say at any given time, tell Al. Reach out to me. Come back here. This is your platform. You've said black media. I am black media, and Al will tell you. Real talk, ain't no bigger black media. Shout out to all the other black people that I've followed and watched how they've done their things. But you know what I'm saying? I'm here right now giving it to all the people that want to listen. And I'm giving it to my people of color that want to come out here. And you don't have to wait for Channel 7 and Channel 2 and Channel 3 or whatever, 12 and whatever. Come here. Come to Real Talk. Help me, help us. Because the bottom line is I can't defend you if they don't hear what you said here. You understand what I'm trying to say? So here's your platform. So I'm just extending that again. This is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Al Taylor. That's Cordell Clear. That's Eddie Gibbs. That's Wendy. Listen, I want to ask Eddie. I'm gonna let you chime in. I got some stuff for you, but my man Derek, going back to what you said, Cordell, my man Derek Stoudemire, because we got some correction officers in here that's listening too. He said, me and my wife here are picking up what Brother Taylor is putting down. God bless, keep up the good work. He also said, in regards to the mental health thing, he said, man, you are correct, but you have families that don't process the mental illness of people within their own families. So good luck on getting lawmakers to do so. Donald Stewart says, stop questioning and never went away. It's just that the cops don't want to do it because they have to do more paperwork. Plus, if you make a mistake on the paperwork, you get punished. Absolutely. I mean, one day I think I will talk to you, Cordell and Al and Eddie. You know, we can sidebar one day and I can tell you some solutions. I got to reach out to my man, Eric Adams, too, because there's certain things I think. And matter of fact, I'm going to say it right here. It's real talk. I'm going to act like I was going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. You have officers right now that don't know how to do this job. And like I said, I've been involved in over 700 arrests, and I've only had one CCRB. And that was because somebody recognized me over the white officer that I was with. He remembered the black officer. He didn't remember the white officer. So, and I've been high volume. I say all that to say, but I always knew how to speak to somebody. I also knew how to talk to somebody. And if I put my hands on you, you understood why I did that. Officers today are scared to do that because they're so busy watching the camera. They're looking at Big Brother over their shoulder. We got to find a way to tweak that. I know Eric is trying the best that he can do, but the bottom line is you all, and this is my question to you all, is he working with you lawmakers? Is he talking to you? Is he conversing with you? Or is he asking you, is there a happy median? I know you all might be behind him, but is the Republican Party behind him? And that I'm explaining that. I'm gonna start with you. I know. I know it's a loaded question. I get it. Yeah, it's a loaded question. But see, this is black, like Cordell said, this is black media, so you can say it. So Eddie, I'll start with you, and then I'll go to Cordell, and I'll go to Al, and then I'll have one more statement, question, comment, and then we can close out. Go ahead, Eddie. What's your thoughts?
Well, look, certainly, we have a dynamic mayor. I'm quite sure all our colleagues on our side is certainly stand behind them. We certainly all have our own opinions, and sometimes we do agree to disagree. But in terms of Republicans and the mayor, no, that's never going to happen.
Absolutely.
That's not going to happen. Absolutely. Not in our lifetime. Yeah. Not with all this rhetoric going on.
No. And then especially if they're talking about 2024, hell to the no. We don't want that.
Certainly.
We don't want that.
I also want to thank you for the extended invite, man. I certainly look forward to chatting with you for an extended time. Next time we can talk about everything in terms of criminal public justice reform. We can talk about bail reform. We can talk about what Al alluded to, being the first formerly incarcerated individual elected to the legislature. It's a lot happening with that movement.
Come back and tell your story, man. Please come back and tell your story. Like I said,
take a segment or two. Yeah.
This forum is open to you. He's here every Monday, but if we got to do a special edition, I'll do it. I have to talk to Malika, my wife. I'll be like, yo, baby, it's okay. We're doing a special edition, but we can come back and talk to that. Cordell, if you need that avenue, listen, I have Mondays and Wednesdays, so you're always welcome. But like I said, if I have to do a special edition, please come back. Al.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that.
So Eddie, before you go, give us some positive affirmation, and then I'm gonna pass it to Cordell and let her give her little positive affirmation, and we'll say whatever she wants to say. Shout out to everybody that's watching the YouTube. You're on fire tonight. We appreciate you all. Wendy, matter of fact, Wendy, I'm gonna come to you next. If you have something that you want to say, because you're always behind the scenes pushing the dots and the buttons, and I appreciate that. So let me just read some other stuff. Let me just say that Donald said that's why I want to run for city council for the 36th district in Bed-Stuy. We have to do better for our people. Absolutely. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. Cheryl said it's not even safe for a black woman to have a baby now. Yeah, a lot of things have changed in this world, everybody. Shout out to my man, Kevin Ballard, Veronica. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. Original Denny Moe. Shout out to all of you. My man, Antoine Wesley from PA, Philadelphia. He's in the building. Dana Richardson, what's up, niece? I see you. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Shout out to the correction officers, the PD officers. Shout out to the people near and far. With that being said, and saying all that, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Every Monday, every Wednesday, we're here. We're giving you the information that you need. Daily Arts and Survival Magazine, Ingram Taxes, Melba Wilson. We support these people. These are the people that sponsor Bill Forster, Real Talk Chronicles. Leon Chocolat, Harlem Underground, Reggie Wells, Quality Speakers, and of course my wife and her mother, Soft Illusions Art Gallery. This is Bill Forster, Real Talk. That's Al Taylor. Wendy, give us your thoughts and comments, and then I'm going to go to Adele and Eddie. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm just going to bring it back to redistricting. Words and words and words can go a long way, but not as long as action can do. So just so you all know, the commission released the last draft of maps on July 15th. This is after the last round of hearings. This is why it's so important for us to participate. The next round of hearings begins on August 15th, and they'll go through the 22nd. The 22nd of August, the hearing will be held in Harlem. It is very, very, very important that we all participate because this round of hearings will be critical in determining the new council lines. Now, that means money for our communities. That means proper representation. That means keeping culture together. Now, you can already submit testimony to the redistricting commission. I will put that link in the chat. You can also do so by dropping it into their email, and I'll put that in the chat as well. If you want to take classes and training on how to submit a map, because it's really simple to do it, actually. Sounds difficult, but it's not. But if you want to receive training on it, the Citizens Union has trainings available for you as well. And I will also drop that into the chat. Now, remember, words can go a long way, but not as far as actions can go. We want all of you to participate. If you would like to get the forms to sign on, I have also dropped my email into the chat, and I'll make sure to get it to you. All of our voices are necessary. Bring a neighbor, bring a friend, bring everybody out of your house for this. It is that important. And that is all I have to say. And you're muted, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm muted this time. Wendy, give it to him one more time because people need to know this is the one thing that I appreciate all of you doing, that you are galvanizing Harlem to get behind this. And I will help you in any way I can. And Cordell, Eddie, Al already knows this. If there's anything that I can do to help you get a message, stand and speak about mental illness or law enforcement interaction, please feel free. I got you. That's real talk. So Wendy, just get that information. When we're going to do this again, and then I want to read a comment, and then I'm going to let Al and Cordell close out.
All right. So you can already submit testimony to the Districting Commission on their website, and I'll drop that into the site. You can also do so by sending it to their email address, which I have just put into the chat right now. And that is publictestimony@redistricting.nyc.gov. Testimonies will begin on August 15th through the 22nd. The 22nd is the Manhattan hearing, which will be held in Harlem, thanks to our leaders, representatives, my leader, Al Taylor, Senator Cordell Clear, Eddie Gibbs, Inez E. Dickens, along with many, many others. So this has already gotten started. And there's someone in the chat who is helping me get something started. Mr. B. Thompson has started the hashtag Hands Off Harlem. So if you are posting, if you are doing things, hashtag Hands Off Harlem, come on into our office. We're on 148th and 7th Avenue if you want to come in there and sign the petition. I'm sorry, Miss Thompson, I take that back. My apologies. So just come on along. I will drop all of that information in there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody. I just want to read a comment. Cordell, I'm going to let you give us some positive affirmation. There's more comments and stuff. People are just chiming in on YouTube. Let me just say, somebody, Mary Clark said, and I put names out. See, don't say something to me if you don't want me to put your name on this shit, because that's what I do. This is real talk. Mary Clark said, Eric Adams is a mess. Plus, he's riding with Republicans. We'll get back to that another time. How you feel. WTV Live, is there a flyer for distribution to be shared on our social media platform? Teresa Grady says, come to 155th Street train station. Sign up on Thursday. Okay. Let me just read a few more comments. Like I said, I'm counting these minutes. I got you all. We got 6 minutes to go. So let's see, whatever. Miss Bennett said, yes, I was saddened by the shooting in Harlem. Hopefully you all remembered Madelia International Day Humanity. Listen, everybody. Cynthia said, you're talking right, Senator Clear. Absolutely. Yeah, listen, people got your back. People love you all. This was texted to me. Cordell, I want you to comment, and then after you comment, give your positive affirmation, and then I'm gonna let Al close out. I'm gonna give my summation right now. Everybody, I appreciate you. Like I said, for all you YouTubers, if you appreciate it, like Cordell said, Black media, subscribe to Real Talk Chronicles. Tell a friend, share this shit. Stop playing with my emotions. Come on, let's get out here and do what the shit we gotta do to let people know that we out here doing something. If it was a back it up, if it was a dancing video or a TikTok, you share it. Yeah, this shit. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me for having a little quick rant, but I'm from Harlem, so sometimes you gotta give me my avenue. With that being said, Deadly Arts of Survival magazine, Reggie Wells Quality Speakers, Soft Illusions Art Gallery, Melba Wilson, Leon Ellis, Harlem Underground, and Chocolat, and Ingram Taxes. With that being said, my man sent me this text. He said, Black politicians have been running Harlem for decades. It's hard for me to believe that these politicians are just realizing the problem. He's talking about this hands off of Harlem. Cordell, I'll let you answer that, and then give us some positive affirmation, because we always close with positive vibes on the show. And then I'll go to Al and let Al close us out. Go ahead, Cordell.
For sure. I can't speak to what Black politicians knew or didn't know or did or didn't do. I know where we are right now. I know there were a lot of hands in this, and there still are a lot of hands when we see where this energy is coming from. I'm 7 months in, my little brother's 6 months in, 5 months in. My older brother's a few years in, and we made a decision that I'm so proud of, and this is my positive affirmation: unity. We decided that we would be united. Al Taylor and I came into this process, me being a senator here today, because we were united and we lived up to our word. He lived up to his word. I've had the same experience. Eddie, you were part of that process too. And we're dedicated. I'm not a politician. I'm a community servant. I'm here to serve this community that put me here. And I am privileged to do that every single day of my life. And unity is so important. They're scared of it, y'all. If we ever got together on the same page, we don't have to agree about everything. We don't even have to love each other as much as I would want you to. But if we could just be united for our success and our advancement, we can win. And Teresa, I love you. I'm going to meet you up on 155th Street. Thank you for the cookout on Saturday. It was great. But
all right,
stay united.
Invite me. Listen, I like hot dogs and hamburgers too, Teresa. Stop playing. I'm on 141st Street. Al, Wendy, I think that thing on YouTube was for you, D. Eakins, Eric Parsons. I think that might be a message. Al, close us out, brother. Do it what you do. Listen, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's my man, Al Taylor. The first Monday of every month. And first, let me say congratulations on your election. I didn't get a chance. I think I might have texted you that, but I know you had been busy and you missed a month. You were caught up. You were doing something with Kenny and stuff and the wife and everything. Please shout out to that family. I love you. You know, you my guy. We rock. Wendy, I appreciate everything that you do. You're Gina. Gwen, what's up, sister? How are you? You in the cut.
How are
How are
you?
you, sister? My girl. I appreciate you, Gwen. Always a pleasure. Wendy, I appreciate everything that you do for orchestrating and putting things together behind the scenes. So, Al, I'm gonna let you close us out. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Like I said, subscribe. Facebook, if you're watching from Facebook, share. Cordell, Eddie, I extend the olive branch. If you need me, like Allison Williams says, just call my name. I got you. I got your back. And anything that I can do. Go ahead, Al, please.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much to the person that indicated that, Black politician, da-da-da-da. Listen, we are new. And when I say we're new, I'm here 5 years, but I worked for my predecessor. And So did Cordell. We have a voice and stake at the table, and we're exercising that. I can't convince Ann or bleach over or wash, or do I care to stay in the past. I need to understand that Harlem has been vibrant. I was educated here in Harlem. We went through the heroin epidemic. We survived the crack epidemic, and we're going to survive the gentrification epidemic.
That's right.
Because we're working in unity. I can't fix what's past, but I can damn sure work hard to make sure we don't repeat what we've done. And I don't know, but I suspect that we are 3 or 4 of some of the closest working. And I want to include Inez Dickens in this because she's been a voice and a force to make sure that everything is being counted. And I can understand how people may look at us with suspect, but it's like buying a used car. Check it out, kick the tires, and ride it and see how you feel. Rock with us, rock with your community, and see what it is that we do and what we can do better. We don't control the narrative, but we're responsive to everything out there. Whether we're helping someone place a loved one in the ground, I pastor, whether we're praying for that funeral, whatever it is, we're really into this. And I want to be mindful that general conversations or references sometimes are more hurtful than helpful. And I'm right. We all have opinions. But if the opinion is those people, whoever those are, whether they're women, men, boys, girls, lawyers, doctors, preachers, elected, and when we consume, when we take the position that it's those people and we don't get to know who they are, then we do ourselves injustice. Let's just all roll up our sleeves and agree we got a lot of work to do. I thank my brother Bill Foster for saying, Al, jump on this and we'll do this the first Mondays of every month. I think I'm in my second year. I don't know.
Yeah,
We
you
were-
are. You
we
are.
were
You are.
COVID together.
You are.
I
You
mean,
are.
and I honor my colleagues in government. And there are some people that we don't always rock with in some of the things, but we pull them in the side and say, this is how we're going to work together and we're going to shut that down. So believe me that there are other elected officials that want to see Harlem go into other communities. And we're saying, no, hands off Harlem, but we're just 3 people, 4. It's going to take the masses to help us bring that message to the commissioners, and then they'll hear us. And what's the commercial? Can you hear me now? When they look at over 1,000 inquiries that say hands off Harlem, that's what we're talking about. We should have 3,000 right now. If each one of us said 5 friends and the next one do 5 friends, like we was playing one of them pyramid games and trying to get $1 back,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're trying to save Harlem, that's what time it is. So I plead with you that there's strength in unity. And I'm of the mindset that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I am more than a conqueror. And if all us together are working, there's nothing that we can't achieve. I want to thank Wendy for the narrative. And she's been a blessing because she does all the background work and her and Bill get it all together. And all I have to do is call some of my friends and say, this is what we're doing. She's got a dissertation that you all did not get to appreciate tonight. But I'll hear more about it later because I know she spent 3 hours prepping for this and she only spoke for 2 seconds. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Cordell. Thank you. What's your name? Eddie? That's my guy. So we rock together, not just in this space, but we're always cognizant of us as people of color in this community. And make no mistake about it. We want to represent our entire districts. But we have to make sure we don't leave anybody behind. And right now, we're at the back of that bus, and there's legislation that says we don't have to ride back there anymore. So let's stand up. Oh, Bill, here's got to add Eddie and Cordell's district. We must, it's a must, that we bring Sarah Collins Rudolph on here. Sarah Collins Rudolph is the 5th victim in the 1963 bombing at the Birmingham church.
Wow.
We met her a week ago at the Annie Mae Collins daycare. Yes, folks, there was a 5th victim. She lost her eye. She lost, it's almost like being in Vietnam at a young age. And she's got this sweetest spirit. I encourage us, we're all going to come back and have her on and talk. Next year, September of next year, will be the 60th anniversary.
Wow.
Of that horrific
The 16th Street bombing, 16th Street church bombing.
And so what I am going to discuss with my wife, as I always do, I walked 780 miles to Chicago against gun violence. And if you all will work with me, pray with me, let's think about this. The walk is from New York to Alabama, back to Birmingham. It's a love thing. Keep that there. And so we'll arrive the week of the anniversary and try to get other cities and states to join in as we're going. And we're going to, we ideally can converge. People say, why you want to do that? Because the city of Mobile, Alabama, Birmingham, has never given her just dues.
So let's work on that. Let's work on that. And let me tell you something, Al, you know, anytime, all you got to do is reach out and text. These are conversations that we can have. Just text and say, yo, I want to bring her on. You can bring her on your day, or we can bring her on somebody else's day. That's the beautiful thing. When it's your show, you can kind of navigate with when somebody comes on and speaks. You know what I'm saying?
And you heard it here, folks.
Eddie and Cordell. I can tell people
Real Talk Chronicles, right here, my co-host. Drop it like it's hot.
That's it. And listen, everybody, this is Real Talk. I appreciate the panel. Thank you all for just being who you are, transparent. Like Cordell said multiple times, this is Black media. I've never said it before, but I own it. Please support me, support Al, support the Mondays, support the Wednesdays. Listen, it's Real Talk. The name speaks for itself. Thanks for all the RTC people, listeners. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Wendy, for putting the schedule together. Everybody.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, go.
We got one disclaimer.
Go ahead.
So since we started, that list is growing in terms of sponsorship.
Yes.
I receive nothing from sponsors. People need to understand this is Al Taylor off the top of my head. So you can't go talk to one of these people and say, we're not going to deal with your product because we don't like what he said. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing but other than sitting here running my mouth. I just want to be clear for ethics.
Absolutely. But let's keep it 100. People don't know if I'm receiving anything, but just the support that people say I can put their name behind my product. Oh, yeah. That sometimes is more important to me than anything in this world. Because
hey, Bill, that wasn't for you. That's for the ethics people.
Yeah, exactly. But you know how we handle them people. You know what I'm saying? Man. Real talk. Knock it off.
I don't want to take
real talk. Everybody, Cordell Clear, Eddie Gibbs, Assemblyman Al Taylor, Wendy Olivia. I swear I don't want to chop your name up because my wife will be hitting me upside my head later on tonight.
Hi, Malika.
Everybody, good night.
Good night.
You all.
Good night, Malika.
Harlem, stand up for Harlem. Hands off.
Hands off. Hands off, Harlem.
Hands up. Hands off. Get off. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Everybody, thank you all.
Thank you all.